So I recently reacted to, not technically reacted. God, this content creation shit is getting to me. But I basically saw one of Io's videos on the gacha community, and he was complaining about getting hate for constantly calling himself a fighting game player, in Zenless Zone Zero, and lying about Zenless Zone Zero's difficulty. And I wanted to condense some of the things he said in that video that I'm kind of confused at, and I think he got wrong. So obviously I'm not going to make a reaction. It'd be an hour plus long if I gave my opinions on an already like 47-minute long video, which is what he did, right? So I just wanted to share some quick stuff, right? So one thing I was really confused about in his video was he said something about Genshin's overworld experience being better than Wuthering Waves is, and never explained how. Like, I'm not even trolling. You can go to the video. I don't know what the title is or whatever. Probably some drama-related title. But he just straight up said he liked Genshin's overworld experience more than Wuthering Waves. And at the same time, it was confusing because before saying this, he said that he doesn't like playing Wuthering Waves that much because it doesn't value his time, when Genshin, of all, like, between Wuthering Waves, Zenless Zone Zero, and Honkai Star Rail, easily has the most annoying overworld experience and barely values your time, right? Now, a lot of people don't know this. I didn't quit Genshin because of the shitty ass rewards. I quit it because of how bad the overworld experience felt after playing Wuwa, right? Like, straight up, I tried to get into Genshin again, like a month before Notland came out, so I could level up my Arlecchino. And because a long time ago, when the Genshin Fatui Harbingers trailer came out, like 2 years ago or something, I don't know how long it's been now, there were two characters that I told myself I'd come back to the game for no matter what, even if I quit, which were Arlecchino and Columbina. And when Arlecchino came, I also came back, right? And then I got her. But Columbina is leaked to come around 5.3 in Genshin, meaning for actual, like, pulling in a banner, she'd come in the future. So I was trying to come back to Genshin so I could play Notland and save enough Primo Gems so I could get Columbina whenever she ended up releasing. And the overworld experience felt so shitty and so slow in comparison to Wuwa that it gave me an actual headache and I had to quit the game. Like, I'm being dead serious. Like, I don't understand what criteria he's going off of for saying that Genshin's overworld experience is better than fucking Wuthering Waves. He wasn't even saying it was a subjective opinion. He said straight up that it's the fucking truth. Like, and then I was like, okay, man, like, I don't know how you got here, but sure, I guess. And then his argument about respecting time, Genshin, out of all these gacha games, takes the longest to do dailies, like, easily. ZZZ is the fastest, right? ZZZ literally takes like 1 to 2 minutes to do your dailies. Wuwa probably takes like 5 to 10. And then Genshin takes like 20, like, straight up. Because you have to, the daily quests are always like way more annoying to go back and forth on. And then you also have to go to the domains to farm and everything. It's literally like 10 to 20 minutes. And Wuwa, it takes probably around 10 minutes, I'd say. Each tacit field clear is like 2 minutes, for me at least. Because I do it for fun. If I use my Gion, they would be like half a minute to 1 minute, right? So it takes me 2 minutes to clear these tacit fields that I do every day. And I usually do 3 every day. And then I do a little more on the mats. The rest of my wave plates on the mats. So to do the dailies, you'll see here. Oh, I got that too. So absorb 1 echo. Literally all you have to do is kill 1 mob and absorb an echo, and that's 20. Use 1 supply. You're always gonna have supplies no matter what. That's at 40. Then do 1 daily quest. These literally take like 1 to 2 minutes. And that now you're at 80, right? Perform Resonance Liberation 3 times and successfully dodge or counterattack once. You're done. Like, with all 3 of these, you're already done. I didn't even have to spend 180 wave plates on the tacit field thing yet. Literally all of this if you were to do it at once, would probably be 5 to 6 minutes. In Genshin, it'd be 10 to 20, right? Because the overworld is a lot slower, so those daily quests that you have to do take significantly longer than a game like Wuwa. And then he went on this rant how it's hard to get top tier echoes in this game. Now, I'll admit, I myself made a video saying that the biggest issue in this game is the echo XP. However, this game, it is a lot easier to get what you need for characters than it is in like HSR or Genshin, right? I want to give you an example. I spent 2,400 resin or whatever it is in HSR when Firefly came. Actually, no, I spent 4,000. Yeah, I spent 4,000. And the most break effect I got on one piece for her was 2 rolls. And half of them are 1 roll. That's with 4,000 resin, man. And this was when double drops on relics and planar ornaments were out. And I was only able to get like 2 or 3 pieces that had 2 break effect rolls. That's how shitty my luck was. On my dungeon, I'll show you right now, she should have the echoes. I have 5-piece Havoc echoes. As you can see here, double crit rate, double crit, 1 crit, double crit, and double crit. And I have at least 1 crit stat on every single piece with a 5-piece. And as you can see here, I'm running 78 crit rate and 260% crit damage. Now, something interesting about all of these is I didn't ever farm for Havoc specifically. These all came from like randomly killing mobs during the story and getting their echoes, or just randomly getting them from the synthesis. And I was able to make all of these without ever touching the Havoc tacit field. Like, and I never specifically farmed for these guys either. These guys, these are the only ones I technically specifically farmed for, but I was going for a different element. I wasn't going for Havoc, right? It was while I was farming the blue pufferfish. Let me see if these ones. It was while I was farming these so I could get Zeshi. I just randomly got this double crit, and it's like, okay, I cannot do the same in HSR. My Don Hung, who I've probably spent at least like 5,000 resin on, has, I think, 2 or 3 double crit pieces. Now, another thing that Wuwa does that's a lot more efficient than, let's say, Honkai Star Rail or Genshin, once you get a double crit, even if you get a double crit drop in those games, if you don't get at least like 2 to 3 rolls, 2 rolls is like bare minimum, right? But if you don't get 2 to 3 rolls on a double crit piece, it's instantly gone. Like, do you have any idea how hard it is to get a double crit piece with the right main stat in the HSR, man? That shit takes forever. I have yet to even get main stat speed boots on Firefly after farming 5,000 resins worth on her domain with break effect on the side. Like, it just hasn't happened yet. Nor attack percent. I just haven't been able to do it, right? And so, in this game, once you hit crit rate and crit damage, that's it. You don't have to... There's no RNG in getting extra rolls. Sure, there's RNG in the percentage. It can go from, I believe, 6.3% crit rate to 10.5% crit rate, which is, sure, significant. But the point is that you don't have to rely on rolls RNG and then instantly throw it a double crit. The second you get a double crit on an Echo, no matter how low or high the rolls, you can literally use it on anyone. Like, you don't have to rely on that roll RNG, which is huge. It's literally the only reason I was able to get 5-piece Havoc Echoes without even trying to for my Donjin. I literally leveled them up because I was bored. And then I ended up getting it, and it's like, wow, okay, I mean, fuck yeah. The only Echo set that I've had trouble farming in the entire game is Electro. I've just been incredibly unlucky with Electro. Like, every time I get an Electro damage bonus 3 main cost, I never get double crit. Like, never. And it always fucks me over. But in everything else, I've been pretty lucky. My Gion, keep in mind, most of his Echoes right here. Oh, I don't have all of the Echoes equipped. But let me see. Oh wait, never mind. I fed one of my one costs into an electro one cost that ended up getting double crit, so it was actually worth it. But my Gion had a 4-piece arrow. 3 of them had double crit, being this, and another 3 cost. But I could never get the 5-piece, so what I did was, it was stupid, right? But I was desperate at the time. This was when I was farming electro damage echoes. I fed the 3 costs into a 3 cost electro damage one that just didn't end up working out well, and I felt so shitty afterwards. But I've been able to use these. I got all 4 of these that you see right here, right? All 4 of these I got within like the first week of me playing the game, which is pretty like rare, right? Because the first week of playing the game, the 1 week in, you only have like a 30 to 50% gold drop rate on echoes. So it's very rare for you to even get these echoes to begin with. I think now that I'm at 100% gold echo rate, it is significantly like better. Like it's a lot easier to get double crits because I no longer have to get rid of these purple guys that I just can't fucking level or use, right? But yeah, so that was his complaint about the time spending on how apparently Wuthering Waves isn't time friendly. When this game, in my opinion, is the most time friendly in terms of grinding. I don't know if you guys have seen, but ZZZ has a shitload of different substats and main stats for their disk drives. Like, it's fucking disgusting how many different ones there are. It might be on par, if not worse, than Wuthering Waves, while Wuthering Waves has a much easier time getting the actual echoes with the right subsets, right? So after this, you know, he complained about Wuthering Waves Overworld experience not being that good. He complained about it not being time friendly. Then he made accusations that the majority of the Wuwa community is Neo Genshin players. Basically Genshin players who quit, came to Wuwa, and then have the same mentality they used to have for Genshin, just converted it into Wuwa. Now, while this is true to an extent, you need to understand that this isn't really like the gotcha moment you think it is for the Wuwa community. Like, you need to understand, right? Genshin was the gotcha. It was most people's first gotcha. So yes, most people who play Wuwa converted from Genshin. Like, is that really like a crazy thing to say? Most people came to Wuwa after being mistreated by Genshin. That's simply how it is. It's not some gotcha moment like, oh, all these guys are Genshin. Like, obviously, man. Genshin fucking revolutionized the open world gacha game. It just did. And another thing I want to get into is, I think he made an argument about Wuwa combat being easy and ZZZ being more interesting. Oh no, he went into about it, ZZZ, about mashing, right? He took this way too literally about people saying ZZZ is a mash fest. The truth of the matter is, the reason why people find ZZZ so much easier than, let's say, Genshin Impact or Wuthering Waves or Honkai Star Rail, I'll explain it right here. The parries in Wuwa, there is a circle, and the circle closes. And at times, depending on the boss, like the Mephis, it can have different timings for closing and when you're supposed to parry, right? So you have to perfectly time the parry in order to get it off, unless you're using Gion. Gion is the only exception to this. If you have his ult up, although in my experience, when I was farming the Mephis with Gion, there are still times, even with your ult up, when you're constantly attacking, that it simply won't parry and the boss will still hit you, right? So there's that. But in ZZZ, the parry is so fucking easy. Not only do you have a much larger time bubble to press one button, which I believe is the spacebar. I quit the game, so I don't remember the exact controls anymore, but I believe it's a spacebar. And it does it by itself. You don't need to time anything. You just see a yellow light, you press spacebar, and bam, you parried the boss. It's that fucking easy. Like, the timing is so much easier and so much more forgiving compared to Wuwa. Like, just straight up. And then you have the chain attacks. In Genshin and Wuwa, it doesn't do it for you, right? Like in Genshin and Wuwa, you have to do the rotations. You have to think. Sure, in all of these games, you are technically mashing. Jinshi is 3 basic attacks. Bam, and E. 3 basic attacks. Bam, and E. And this is technically mashing, right? But the difference is you have to think about the rotations. Build the right energy. Do this, do that. In ZZZ, not only is it so much fucking easier to get your teammates to apply a buff to a teammate, but the rotations in themselves are incredibly easy as well, because you only have one ult on a character. You don't have all this planning and thinking you have to do for ult rotations. You literally just use the ult on your DPS and no one else, right? There's not that much thinking that goes into it. And the chain attacks do the most damage out of anything in the entire game. And guess what? You don't even do it yourself. It just randomly pops up and gives you an entire second to press left click. Oh, now this character does this attack. Oh, now there's another chain attack link, left click. And now my next character goes. Like, sure, Wuwa and Genshin are easy too. But ZZZ is on another level of simple and easy, to where it almost feels like the game is playing itself for you, right? I think Mr. Pokey put it best in his reaction video to EO, where he said that it's artificial difficulty, right? He literally, Mr. Pokey, after watching EO's video, went into, I think, Shiyu Defense 8 and blindfolded himself first try and cleared it S tier. He cleared it at S. Now, sure, he was a higher Internet level. He was like Internet 38. But it proves that it really is a mash fest, and you don't need to use any of your brain power to clear anything. The only reason it's difficult right now is because we're so level, right? Like this endgame, people are trying to challenge the endgame with level 40 and level 50 characters, and then being like, oh yeah, look at ZZZ's difficulty. So fucking difficult, right? It's just not. Like, it really isn't. And what makes Wuwa's endgame so much harder is that these endgame bosses will one-shot you no matter what your level is. Like, a max hologram Mephis will one-shot me no matter what. This is a level 70 Jinshi. Sure, I'm like 1 level off of a level 80 character, which is what most people are at, right? But I'll get one-shot by like a difficulty 5 monkey. Like this monkey over here that I solo cleared with my Donjin because I was bored out of my mind. Where was it? Let me find it real quick. This guy right here. I cleared him in 20 minutes, solo Donjin, first try. Or not first try, but like my first time trying to fight him and do this, right? And he one-shot me every time. Like, whenever he did an actual like significant move, no matter what I did, I'd get one shot. And keep in mind, my Donjin is built. Like, I have a lot of her skills leveled up. I have both of these. Level 70 standard 5 stored. Level 70. You can see she is built, yet she is still getting one shot by these endgame bosses. It is not the same in ZZZ. Or when I watch people play ZZZ, right? Even at the final levels of Shiyu Defense, as level 40 to 50 characters, it still takes them like 5 hits to die for a character to die. And the reason why people call Wuwa more difficult is not only because of how many hits it takes to die, it's also because how much easier it is to dodge and parry in ZZZ. Like, it's so much more forgiving and easy to live in ZZZ in a fight, because it's just so much easier to block. It's so much easier to dodge. It's so much easier to do chain attacks where you have immunity to certain things that enemies can do, right? Like in Wuwa, you can still take damage right after your ult, but in ZZZ you have like this short period of immunity. And it's so much easier. There's so many aspects that make ZZZ that much easier than Wuwa. So no, obviously, when people call ZZZ just a mash fest, it's because you literally don't have to use your brain. Like, you just don't, right? The only thing I had to learn to make my rotations with Ellen work was do Sokaku's flag bearer and go from Sokaku to your DPS. Because if you do Sokaku to, let's say, your support, obviously your DPS isn't going to get the buff that she provides. So you just do Sokaku to DPS, and then Ellen, you do the double dash and hold your left click. That's it. That's all the thinking I had to do for my entire team to get the rotation down. It's so much fucking easier. Like, you just never die in ZZZ, man. You really don't. And to prove it, first try, you know that mob that like teleports? He's like the hardest mob in the entire game because he constantly teleports and tries to hit you. My first time doing that, I didn't clear it, right? Because my investment was so low. 2 of my teammates had no disk drives and my Ellen had like 4 and they were unleveled. But I cleared him and I fought him for 9 minutes. That's right. I fought that one boss mob at a low level with no disk drives leveled for nearly 10 minutes. It was like 9.5 for me to finally clear him. And I didn't die or even come close to dying. And that was my first time trying that floor, and that is the hardest mob to actually parry and survive against. This is why people call ZZZ easy, man. Like, it is a mash fest. Like, in Wuwa and Genshin, sure, they're mash fests, but you also have to think into rotations and going from this dude to this guy, elemental reactions, putting this buff up. But in ZZZ, it's straight up more, it's just brain dead. It's significantly more brain dead than Wuwa or Genshin. And, I mean, that's about it. Basically, he just went on this rant on how he finds Zenless Zone Zero better than Wuwa, basically. He never said Wuwa is bad. He even said that he's not calling it that. He just said ZZZ is better, but every point he provided for ZZZ being better was complete dog shit. Oh yeah, another argument he made, and the last one I'm going to cover over, was that he said there was nothing left to do in Wuwa for him, and that ZZZ had a lot more content. Please tell me you guys understand why this is such a stupid fucking take. Like, please tell me, right? So, what I find hilarious about this is before, he was complaining about Wuwa being too grindy and not time friendly. And then he says that Wuwa has nothing to do, so he goes to ZZZ. And because it's a new game that's more grindy and less time friendly since he's newer, that he enjoys it more. Like, there's a bit of a hypocrisy here that isn't lining up, but it's like, of course, you know, of fucking course. The game just released, of course there's more content than Wuwa. It's no different in Genshin or HSR. Once you finish a patch's content, literally all you have to do are dailies. There's nothing else to do, man. Like, I'm not sure what argument or what point he's trying to make here by saying there's more content in ZZZ currently than Wuwa. Like, of fucking course, man. Like, who's surprised? Wow. It's such a dumb video. And I think he let his anger for people 1 or 2 guying him in his chat get in the way of him thinking clearly. Because every point he made, not only did he not actually like follow up with any type of evidence or proof of why he felt that way, he just said he did and then tried to state it as objective fact like half the time for half the points he made. And it's just so wrong in my opinion. And it's like, how do you even get to this point? Like, I think, and this happens very commonly in anime communities, I think it's possible that he's let his, like, basically he's covered Zenless Zone Zero, and he's gotten more hate covering Zenless Zone Zero than he has any other gacha game. So now he feels the need to defend the game and himself from these other gacha communities, and he just sees these other ones as like villains, right? Like, I think that might be affecting the way he thinks in why he makes these points and is going so hard for ZZZ. Like, it's completely fine to like ZZZ more than these other games, but almost every point he states is just a blatant fucking lie if you think about it, or if like you played these games for longer. Like, everything he said was just completely subjective, right? So, long video going over a bunch of his points, condensing his points into one video, right? He also brings up multiple times about him being a fighting game player. Like, I'm not even gonna get into that shit, man. Like, being a fighting game player in a gacha game, like, two different realms, like completely different realms of difficulty. It's like Mr. Pokey said, right? At the end of the day, these gacha games are artificial difficulty. There is rarely, if any, ever any skill involved, right? Like, sure, skill can make you clear a tiny bit faster, right? But in reality, it's just a level diff and an investment diff. Once you put in enough time into these games, you could be a fucking droid, right? Like a complete droid that can not do their ABCs. As long as you know how to mash and you have the right equipment and teammates, you're gonna clear everything. Like, that's simply how it is. So yeah, not a quick video at all. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you all have a great night, and peace.